Okay, so I would want to welcome you all to our business law lecture. To begin with, we'll have to first understand what law itself is. So like I mentioned yesterday when we were looking at the outline of this course, I mentioned to say that we'll first have to start with looking at the Zambia legal system, where we'll look at the sources of law, of which we have different sources of laws that govern the country. From there, we'll have to look at the law of contract, then so on and so forth. So today we'll be looking at the Zambia legal system. Then we'll first start by defining what law itself is. So law is the enforceable body of rules that govern the society. So just an add up, it are those same rules and regulations are the ones that also controls people's behavior. So you can even imagine to say if a country does not have the law, you can just imagine the chaos that can be in that country. But it's because of the laws that govern the people. It's because of the rules that are being put in different statutes that will be able to control people's behavior, whereby we say, okay, so a person is not supposed to murder. If you murder, you'll be imprisoned for 50 it to be life imprisonment. So all those are laws. There will be laws such as every child deserves protection. Every child needs parental responsibility. So, and if at all they find maybe a child who has both parents, they just like find that child moving around in society. They are able to track, where does this child come from? Why is this child found in the streets roaming around? And the parents can be accountable if at all they are just letting that child. So all those will be the laws that will be used against the parents of that child to say, why is this child not in school? But if at all, if it's an orphan, the law would demand to say, okay, this person needs an adoption. So there are different laws that govern people's behaviors, and in that way they help to bring order in a country, and people are able to should be able to follow those laws. And it doesn't matter to say whether it's the president or a common person, no one is above the law. They all have to follow what the laws demand. So what are some of the sources of laws that we have in Zambia? So we have different sources of laws that we have in Zambia. I hope you can get me. If at all I'm too quick, you can just tell me, say, oh, madam, please slow down. I think you're fast.
Please talk clear.
Okay, thank you. So some of the sources of laws that we have in Zambia, the first one, it is the Constitution. So the Constitution, I don't know if you've gone through it. So we have this Constitution. It is the Supreme Act. It's the one that, when I say it's supreme, all these other laws that we have in Zambia, like the Penal Code, the Civil and Criminal Procedural Code, the Criminal Procedural Code, the Marriage Act, the Defamation Act, all these other acts that you hear of, they are all below the Constitution, meaning that all these laws need to be in accordance with what the Constitution has. So with the Constitution, I can send the Constitution in the group just for the sake of people at least just having an idea of what it has. So with the Constitution, it almost contains not everything. That is why we have these other acts. But at least it's a guide to these other acts, whereby it contains all the rights of people. So we have the right to life. Of course, we have the right to freedom of expression, assembly, liberty. If at all anyone's rights are infringed, the Constitution, it clearly states in Article 1, Sub-Article 3, that any act or statute that is in contravention with what the Constitution demands, that act will be declared null and void, meaning that the person who can be able to sue if at all they find an act that is refusing them to assemble. or maybe that is refusing them to express themselves, or that is refusing them to have the freedom to movement. So the Constitution is the supreme law that actually governs the country. So we have different cases that can be used. So please take note of these cases. We have the case of Banda versus the people. So what happened in this case, it was more like there was some sort of corporal punishment. I'm pretty sure it was quite a long time where in schools it had even been abandoned to say no more corporal punishment, no more corporal punishment. It's because the Constitution itself demands that no one should be exposed to torture or ill treatment. Everyone deserves to be given proper treatment. So whenever with the law that was demanding for corporal punishment, when it came about, this case of Banda versus the people, they were able to bring a case to say corporal punishment, it's more like an infringement for people's right to for someone not to be ill treated, or maybe for someone to be given torture. So the Constitution had to come in and it played a role to say that no, a corporal punishment should be removed in these acts. So corporal punishment was being allowed in the penal code to say someone should be given this severe punishment, but the Constitution had to come in and a case was raised to say no, corporal punishment, it's more like some sort of ill treatment and torture. As a result, that section in the penal code, that was section 24, paragraph C, that the one that was demanding for corporal punishment. So it had to be erased in the penal code, and the Constitution had to come in and play a role. The other famous case that is there for the one that supports the supremacy of the Constitution is the case of Christine Mulundika and others versus the people. It's actually a 1995 case. Can you get me? Please update me if at all my mic becomes mute.
No, I'm following you. Are clear, madam.
Oh, all right, thank you. Do you have any questions?
Yes, I do.
Okay, what's your question?
Yes. Maybe I don't know. Is there any difference when the definition we have given for law, you have used the term enforceable? So is there a special meaning attached to that, or is just an ordinary term? Then the second one is we have defined law, and then we are talking about the sources of law. So what of the types or categories of law? So how many types or how many categories of law do we have? Those are my questions, madam.
Okay. So with the first question, why you said we use the term enforceable when we are defining law, it's because when someone fails to follow what the law demands, the law will always have to act on that person. Like that person needs to suffer the consequences of failing to abide to what the law demands. So those penalties will need to be enforced on that particular person. That is why we used the word enforceable. Have you understood?
Okay, or meaning enforcing, making it, to act.
Yes,
without
it's more.
fail.
Yes.
No, okay. All right,
Yes.
thank you.
Okay. Then you asked the different types of laws that we have.
Yes, madam.
Okay. So we have the positive law and the naturalist law. These are the two types of the laws that we have. So with the positive law, which is also known as the formal law, it is actually the type of law that is imposed by the state. Have you understood?
Okay.
Yes.
For
So
sure.
it's it is the law that so yeah, like I have mentioned, it is imposed by the state. But with the naturalists law, it's the one that focuses on what the society believes in. So for example, I'll try to give you an example just how I can distinguish these two laws. So with the positive law, the state is the one that imposes it. So like the state comes up with different legislations, it comes up with different acts. So like I mentioned, to say we have the penal code, it's the state that came up with this law, with this act, to say whenever someone kills, or maybe theft occurs, or maybe if a robbery comes in, the person will have to be punished in such and such a way. You've understood, right? Then with the naturalist law, it's all about what a society believes in. So there are certain societies where they believe to say whenever a child sees elders, they of course need to kneel down, or maybe can I say there are other societies that believe to say child marriage is okay. So you'd find maybe failure to kneel down for the elders, then to that itself they'll be like, to them they would see it to be like that's so much disrespectful. So these are like the naturalist laws. They are all about these different laws that each and every society, they have their own beliefs. They like beliefs to say this and this thing needs to be done in our society. But you find that those things, they are not universal, because you'd find this type of a law, it can be a crime to not to kneel down for elders, maybe in this society, but it cannot be a big deal if you don't do that in the other society. So those are the two basically laws that are there. We have the positive one and the naturalist one.
Okay. All right.
Yes.
Thank you for that clarification. Then where does these two fall? The criminal law and the civil law.
Where do they fall?
Yes. Are they the type of law, or maybe they are, how do we classify them? Since we have two
Okay.
types of law, positive
Oh,
and the naturalist.
okay. Oh, so in both these types of laws, both of the in under the positive law, we still find the civil and the criminal law. Okay, yes, we still find the civil and the criminal law. How I can distinguish civil and criminal law? With criminal law, like just from the word itself, it's all about crimes. So whenever you hear issues of theft, issues of murder, issues of rape, issues of um yes, all those issues, those fall under the criminal. So they can still be found under the positive and the naturalist. Then whenever we find issues of contracts, maybe there was a dealing of a contract, there were issues of tort like negligence, defamation, someone is defaming your name. That itself, it's not a crime. It's a civil case. So it will be dealt with like a civil case. It won't be dealt with like a criminal case can be dealt with. So like both the civil matters and the criminal matters, they all fall under the positive and the naturalist law. I don't know
So
if you agree.
meaning they are cases
Yes,
in
these are
nature,
just cases. Yes,
not laws, but cases in nature.
yes, they are not laws. They are just like cases in nature. No wonder you find we have oh, it was a criminal case. It was a criminal. It was a civil case. The someone will be like, it was what was the case? It was a contract case. Then someone will actually know, say, oh, it's a civil matter. Then maybe if someone asks, what case was it? It was involving murder, or it was involving robbery. Then someone would not say, oh, it is a criminal case. So these are just like cases. They are not really laws to say we have criminal laws and we have civil laws. Not really. They are actually just cases in nature. How we distinguish this matter from this matter. So most of the time, criminal cases are usually severe. Even their punishments are usually severe. But with civil cases, we find that the penalties, one can just be told to pay damages. You always, maybe if at all you are owing someone a 50,000, that itself will be a civil case. So the court will just demand that you pay back that 50,000. But when it comes to an issue of murder, you've killed someone. Of course, you cannot bring that person to life. That itself will be a criminal matter, and the penalties, or maybe the punishment, it's actually severe in nature, because they net say that you cannot be able to atone for the damages that you've caused to that person's family, the deceased family. So the penalties will actually be higher. That is why you find most of the times criminal matters, the cases are usually higher than those of civil matters. You've understood?
Okay.
Yeah.
It's good. Now, where there's a question where they ask that distinguish the types of law, if you may ask us that question. So we concentrate at the positive one and the naturalist one.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much. Hello? You are off, madam. Hello? Hello? Are you there, madam? Hello?
My network. What's wrong?
You are off, madam.
I'm online.
You are online. You are
Yes,
off.
my mic was not mute. I don't know. Can you now get me?
Yes, I'm getting you now.
I don't know what happened, but my mic wasn't muted this time around.
Okay.
Today's lectures. Can we proceed?
Okay, thank you. Hello? Hello?
Can you get me?
You were off. Now I've gotten you recent now.
What is now happening?
Okay. Hello? Yes, I'm getting you now.
I can get you as well.
Okay. Then you can proceed, mad.
Okay. I just hope nothing will come into again. All right. So the first sources of law that we have, I mentioned the Constitution, which is the supreme law of the country, and this is our Chapter 1 Act, of which in Article 1 of the Constitution, sub-Article 3, it actually says that all the other statutes that we have are supposed to be in line with what the Constitution states. So they are not supposed to they are not supposed to contravene what the Constitution demands. So if the Constitution says that everyone should have the right to life, if at all there is any act that is saying that no, there should be death penalty, that act needs to be declared null and void. It needs to be, or maybe that section will have to be repealed. So everything that is contained in the Constitution needs to be in line with whatsoever thing that is in other acts. So if the Constitution says, I hope you can get me.
Very clear, madam.
Okay, so the Constitution, if the Constitution provides for freedom of expression and we find an act that is providing that no, people are not supposed to express themselves whenever there is an issue, that act can be brought to court to say, why is it not providing for? And that was the case of Christine Mulundika and others versus the people. So it was a situation where people were trying to protest. They were trying to protest for the issues that they were facing. Then they did not get permit from the police officers. They just had to start assembling and they began expressing themselves. Then the police officers had to stop them, and the people had to complain. They brought in to say that so the police officers were they were trying to use a different act, the one that was saying that they are supposed to first get permits for them to protest, or maybe for them to bring in any other issue that they might have. So the court had to say that the Public Order Act was not in line with the Constitution, because the Constitution provides that people are supposed to express themselves as long as whatever they are expressing is in line with what the Constitution demands. So we have, I would advise you to just like read through these cases, Banda versus the people. We have the case of Christine Mulondika versus the people. We also have the case of Thomas Mumba. So let me just try to write them down so that I can be able to send all these things in the groups. If at all, have you ever heard of the case of Christine Mulondika versus the people?
No, madam. So versus
Okay.
the people, what do they mean? Which people?
It's the state. It's all about the state.
Ah.
Yes. So yeah, it's more like you are against the state. It's the same thing when you kill someone. It won't be like the person who killed versus the family of that person. No, it will be between that person who killed versus the state. So it will always be versus the people. But if at all it's a contract case or maybe a tort case, it is always it will be like Mushaike versus Mbangu. That's how it will
Okay.
be. Yes.
Ah.
So I will send you these cases. It will even be, at times you can be asked the question to say, what are the sources of laws that we have in Zambia? At least if you mention the Constitution, even bring in this case, trust me, it will earn you marks. At least the lecturer will even be happy to say, oh, he even went as far as reading a case that is supporting the Constitution. This is really nice. So it will be of your advantage. So I'll definitely send this case and the other documents that I promised. Then the other sources of laws that we have is, I'm saying today's time has really moved fast for me. I'll try to do better next time.
Yeah, it is jealous. The time versus people.
It's time. I'm worried with time versus the people. It's really moving fast. I'm failing to understand. Okay, the other sources of laws that we have is that of the legislation. So with the legislation, these are different types of acts that would come about. The one that help with controlling people's behavior, like I mentioned. So you can bring in different acts that that are of use in with business law. So with the legislation, they are saying that there are two types of legislation. We have the parliamentary and the delegated legislation. So with the parliamentary, you see that most of the time it's the parliament who has to come up with an act. Like when the time when the constitution was being made, of course, they consulted the people to say, what laws would you want us to put in this act? Then, of course, the ministers will have to sit down and discuss, okay, this is what the people want. Then they'll have to make up that act. But you'll find that since the MPs are usually busy, then there are situations where maybe an emergency comes in. For example, I'll give an example of this maybe cholera incident that is happening in the country. So you find that maybe there are some acts that they want to come up with. They will not be able to, like, Parliament is not able to like sit down and come up with an act that will be able to be applied to the people to say, okay, you need to be washing your hands, for you to prevent cholera, you have to do this. Instead, they would maybe delegate that to the members of parliament who are able to just formulate these other small acts, the ones that are able now to come in to guide the people on a certain emergency, maybe such as cholera or maybe COVID-19, and the people are able to be guided to say, okay, this is how you can prevent this type of disease. I don't know if you've understood on these two types of legislations that we have.
Yeah, I have a question.
Uh-huh.
So, parliamentary and delegated.
Uh-huh.
So, parliamentary, where do they meet?
The parliament.
In parliament, when they are
Yes.
making laws.
Yes.
Now, what of the delegated? These people who are delegated, where do they meet? And then, they sit down and, make these laws, or the delegated, where do they meet to make the delegated functions? Do they go to the
Within
same?
not really them going to the same parliament, but one thing you must know is that they are also members of parliament. It's just that they just delegate this to the members of parliament. So the ministers or the people who are in charge of the legislatures, because like we have three bodies of the government, right? We have the legislators, we have the executives, we have the judiciary, right? So the people who are in charge of making these statutes are those who work under the legislation, right? Isn't it?
Yes.
Yes. So now you find that at times, so all of these people are members of the government. They are all like a government. Then now, you'd find there are situations whereby the legislation is it has a lot of things to do, and maybe there's an emergency that has occurred, so they'll just delegate this to the members of parliament. So it does not matter where these people would meet, but of course they'll have to be giving the nation updates on what they are doing, how what they ask for the views for the people and what they think the people would need. So they'll have to provide with the members of parliament will have to now make those laws, so they will like delegate it to the other members of parliament, and most of the time it's like the ministers. So
Okay, it's clear now. I thought maybe they delegate from outside the parliament.
oh no.
Okay,
Or yes.
thank you.
um then maybe if I can just try to, okay, maybe this one you can just try to read on your own for better understanding. I sent the module yesterday under the delegated legislation. It's on page 17. You will find it.
All
Is that
right,
yes?
sure.
Okay. The other source of law is that of common law and equity. So with common law, just trying to give a history background. Like to say Zambia is a colony of Britain, right? Yeah, aware of that, right? We used to be
Exactly.
yes. So
Colonial. It's a colonial.
yes. So so what used to happen is that after independence, we never had our own laws by then. So most of the times we would refer to England laws. So those were like the common laws that is where common law comes in. So would use the laws of England whenever a case happened in Zambia. So maybe for example, if like the case of Shamwana versus the people, it's a very long case. Trust, it's very long and interesting. So this was a case of treason, and by then, Zambia did not have it did not have an act that was providing for a case concerning treason. So we would use English laws from England, and so these are like the same common laws that would be enforced in Zambia. So now, common law, what you can write if at all you're writing under the sources of laws is that these common laws are laws from England that Zambia uses. They're only for persuasive value. So in courts, at times it's possible for someone to cite an English case whenever they are dealing with maybe any case that they might be dealing with. So someone can be able to use it in court, and it doesn't mean to say that it will be binding to the court. The court will just be able to just use it for persuasive value. So in situations whereby maybe a similar case that has happened in Zambia is also a similar case that happened in England. And so what Zambia would do by then is that they would just like try to see how the judges from England dealt with that case. And now that itself does not mean that they will also be also to hold it in that manner. Instead, they'll just like refer it for persuasive value. They'll just get like ideas on how they can handle the case that they have at that point. Have you understood?
For sure.
Yes.
England.
So, yes. So
White people.
yes, so what would happen most of the time is that since common law is very harsh, because what common law demands is that someone can only be given damages if at all they have they have something that they would want the court to do for them. So maybe for example, I just give an example to say that maybe someone is trying to enter my land without permission, or maybe someone has stolen something for me on my land without permission. So what common law would do is that common law would just say that okay, the person who is entering your land should just like the person who has entered your land and they have stolen something, they'll have to just repay you back what they've stolen. But on the part of entering your land, what do we do to them? Common law wouldn't do anything, because common law, it's more like common law is equals to damages. That is where equity came in now. So equity came in to say there are actually some things whereby money is not enough. So when we talk of damages, most of the times they're in form of money. So the court just compensates you in form of money. That's what damages are all about. Maybe you've been hearing me saying the court will have to give you the damages that you deserve. So there are some situations whereby money won't be enough. It won't be able to compensate you enough for the loss that you've suffered. So what equity now comes in to say, no, actually someone needs to be atoned. Equity comes in to now give you more of what damages won't just satisfy you with. So instead of you being given back what that person stole in your land, equity comes in to now restrain that person. Maybe they'll give them a restraining order to say you should stop going on that person because you do not have a license, or maybe you are not permitted to go on that land because you are not the owner. If at all you go on that land again, then you'll be arrested. So equity comes in now to atone for what damages cannot be able to satisfy the person who is aggrieved. I don't know if you've understood.
It is so nice. So common law. So can they, is there any difference now? Maybe, do you ask such questions, or maybe I don't know how you ask common law and equity?
Or the difference between common law and equity?
Yes.
Okay, so how you can just simply answer the two is that common law only provides for the damages that someone has suffered.
Okay.
Whilst equity, it's actually a remedy that will atone for what damages cannot it's more like with equity, it provides more than what damages would give to a person. So like there are different types of remedies under equity. So with okay, so it can just, maybe the way you can answer it, it's in this way. You say that the remedies for common law are that there are only damages. That's the only remedy. That's the only solution for common law. So maybe if at all you suffer a problem and it's the courts of common law, like the way it was in England, where we have the courts of common law and the courts of equity, but that changed. It's actually a long history, but that changed because now common law and equity, they now work, they are both found, they like work together in such a way that a court is able to give you the remedy of common law, which is damages only, whilst equity, it has a lot of remedies. So equity has the remedies such as specific performance. It has the remedies of where someone will be told to perform specific in accordance with what their contract was. So with equity, it does not just have one remedy like damages. I think that is the only distinction that you can give whenever you're asked to say what's the what.
You are off, madam. Hello? Hello?
Can you now get me?
Time versus people. Yes.
Can you get me now?
Yes, madam.
How today's Vivian, welcome.
Vivian, you okay?
Yes, I'm fine, and you?
Finally.
Hi, Mr. David.
Fine.
I joined class a bit late.
We saw it.
It was
Sure.
because of network.
Ma?
Was it because of network?
Actually, I guess it's because of the test that we are writing.
Oh, you were writing a test.
Yes, it just ended around the 1930. So,
In which course?
financial management.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least it has financed you.
Oh, of course, I'm telling you. I tell you, the first cut, the questions, the way they were phrased out. What's more final? I'm scared.
No, it's good it has financed you.
I'm telling you.
Then you manage it now.
Yeah.
And you have enjoyed today's lecture.
Sure, I'll just go through the recording.
Yeah, it is really nice.
Aye.
I really appreciate that it's good that you're enjoying.
Yeah.
At least it gives you motivation.
I will go through the recording.
Yes.
Now the challenge is time. Time is too short.
The time
And
is
just
just
2
really
days in a week.
Okay.
It's even 20. Unless if we are maybe to agree, it's just that you people are busy. Maybe for to find a day that you would want maybe us to be having makeup classes. Because like today's day, the network was bad. And now the fact that you are busy, and maybe that is why they decided that we can be having meetings on weekends. But if we are to agree, we find a slot during the week where we can be meeting, I think that way it will really help us move fast. Because
I think so.
it's not all about us finishing the course fast. It's all about ensuring that people understand, isn't it?
For sure, for sure.
Yes. So it's already 21, so I don't know what we'll do now.
The honors is on you.
The onus is on me.
Yes.
Because I have the pressure of having classes back to back now.
For sure.
I was given a lot of class, so now I'll be receiving notifications to say, Madam, link, Madam, link.
Okay.
So I don't know if, I don't know, are there any questions? Even from you, Vivian, even though you've joined quite late, you can still ask.
For me, I'll only ask when I go through the recording. Where I'm not clear, I think I'll be texting you.
No problem, no problem. You can text me.
Yes, madam.
So I don't know, are there any questions, David?
Madam, for now, I've enjoyed. Let me go through what you sent and then organize more questions
Yes, please organize more questions.
so that we become lawyers for business.
No, you will definitely become lawyers for business. So let me just send the cases that I've promised to send. Did I promise to send any act or the constitution? Yeah.
Yesterday you did not.
No, I'm talking about today.
Today, you have promised Partnership Act and
No,
the
that's
company.
under business. That's business law. Sorry. That is under companies law. See now, look at myself, confusing myself. So those are under company law, the ones that I'm supposed to send in the company law lecture. But I'm talking about here in business law. I'm just supposed to send the case of
The
Thomas
cases.
Mumba.
Okay.
Okay, yes. I'll also send the constitution. You just read. I'll just advise you to just read Article 1 for
Article
now.
1.
Yes, for now, that will be the relevant thing that you will just read for now. These other things, if there'll be anything else, I'll be telling you to say, okay, can you read this article for your own understanding? Then the time when you'll be reading the cases, you'll be able to go back and read the articles, because the cases will guide you the articles that they were using when they were trying to sue. So let me just send. Yes,
For
okay.
sure. Now, in this group, were how many in class?
In class, we're 10, unless if the number has increased today. But yes, we are 10.
10 students?
Yes. Okay, I should exclude myself. So yeah,
So.
9.
Okay.
Yes.
So maybe we'll be discussing amongst ourselves to see if we can have some makeup meetings.
Okay.
The better, then we'll be requesting, apart from this timetable.
Oh, okay, no problem. So once you manage to discuss, we manage to agree on the day and the time, that will be okay. Then we'll update even the others.
Oh, for sure.
Yes. Okay. So I've sent the constitution. Let me just send the cases. I will definitely go on my PC, but for now, I think I can end the the recording and allow everyone to leave, or I'll end
Okay.
the meeting. Okay. So if there are no any other questions, I think we'll call it a good night.
Okay, good night, madam.